This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Magandang gabi po sa inyo lahat. Welcome to our show, Heartbeat. I'm your host, Ray Orosa. We'll be together. Pag-usapan natin dito mahalagang bagay ngayon. Ang pananguhin ko po sa gabing ito ay kilala na niyong lahat. Wala nang iba kundi si Secretary Roy Goles, dating former National Security Advisor at dating representante ng Parañaque yan. And he has been specializing on one thing for the most part, and that is China and the South China Sea problems that we are facing as a nation. Trabaho niyan is very well experienced in assessing security risks for the nation. And therefore, we are going to take a look. Kasi mayroong mga nangyayari ngayon na some say it's good, some say it's not so good. So I'm going to give Secretary Goles here a chance to really address some of these issues. Ang unang-unang issue dyan na ating kailangan tingnan dito ay isang bagay na sa akin hindi maganda. In the sense na, nung nagtatayo tayo ng mga struktura dyan sa Panatag Shoals, siguro mga kubo-kubo lang naman yan o concert hut.
Sa Pag-asa.
Sa Pag-asa. Nagreklamo agad ang China. At tapos, without any say, so pinatigil ni Duterte yung construction at dinismantle. Tama, I mean, how do you assess that situation, Secretary?
Well, doon pa lang, talagang medyo nakakagulat. Kasi handa na talagang AFP, no? Yung Department of National Defense, may plano na sila. Matagal ng plano yan to upgrade our facilities. Hindi lang upgrade, ang iba, maintenance lang eh. Parang restoration lang, no? Like yung runway natin doon. Tapos yung may sandbar na malapit sa Pag-asa. Yung sandbar na yan is still within the territory of Pag-asa. Parang pag sinabing sandbar, di ba pag nagpupunta tayo sa beach, siguro mga 1 kilometer away,
lumilitaw yung
lumilitaw na buhangin, no? Hindi permanente yan, umaangat. Tapos ang ginawa ng AFP, naglalagay sila ng nipa huts, hindi ito concrete structures, nipa hut. Tapos nagsalita ang China, nagprotesta ang China, in spite of the fact na under Republic Act 9522, yung Pag-asa is considered a regime of islands. We have sovereign jurisdiction in that regime of islands under Republic Act 9522. 12 nautical miles and territorial sea around the island, kasama yung sandbar. Therefore, atin yung sandbar na yan. Kaya yun nga ang nakakapagtaka kung bakit bumigay agad tayo. Samantalang
napakaduwag ba natin?
Hindi na siguro because it's on the eve of this ASEAN, no? Baka ayaw natin magkaroon ng irritant to spoil our hosting of the ASEAN summit. In spite of the fact na ang China, ang ginawa, hindi nipa hut, ang ginawa nila mga mini cities, like for example, yung kaharap ng Pag-asa, yan yung Subi Reef. Ang ginawa ng China dyan, nagpagawa sila ng mga more than 100 hectares of reclaimed artificial islands. Pag tingnan mo yan, yung skyline yan, para ka nakatingin sa skyline ng Rojas Boulevard. Ang dami ng buildings, no? Tapos ang Mischief Reef naman, nireclaim nila, ang reclamation nila dyan from just at a submerged reef noong 1994, naglagay sila ng shelter na house on stilts. And then 5 years after, naglagay sila ng mga concrete buildings para katulad ng mga munisipyo natin sa mga bayan. And then now, nag-reclaim sila. Alam niyo kung gaano kalaki ang reclamation nila dyan? 558 hectares.
Wow.
Ang Bonifacio Global City is 250 hectares. Kaya imagine kung gaano kalaki. they have a 3-kilometer runway doon. Sa Subi
Maski
meron
na
din.
anong aeroplano pwedeng
Kahit anong
bumaba
klaseng
doon.
eroplano, transport, bomber, fighter planes, pwede doon. Kaya yun ang design nila. Tapos tatlo yan. The other one is Subi. Meron silang 3-kilometer runway doon. So yun ang facts on the ground right now. And the
Why did we accept, for example, their protest?
Sabi ko nga, baka we're just being civil dahil nga mag-host tayo ng ASEAN. Ayaw natin magkaroon ng irritant. Lalo na, meron tayong mga in-expect na agreement with China, which came out in the papers today. No? Pero yung ginawang mga islands ng China, it is a violation of, kasi pinag-uusapan ng hot item dito sa ASEAN Summit is the Code of Conduct. Code of Conduct between ASEAN and China in the South China Sea. Ang basis niyan, itong 2002 ASEAN-China Declaration on the Conduct of Parties, yung DOC na tinatawag. Ang DOC contemplated the formulation of Code of Conduct. Ang ginawa ng China noon, tuwing gustong pag-usapan yan, sabi nila, wag muna, not yet, we're not yet ready. Dribble sila ng dribble. But in the meantime, kasi nakalagay kasi doon sa DOC, nakalagay dito, the parties undertake to exercise self-restraint in the conduct of activities that will complicate, escalate, no? Refraining from action of inhabiting on the presently uninhabited islands, reefs, shoals, keys, and other features. Ang ginawa ng China, hindi lang nag-inhabit sa mga uninhabited. Gumawa sila ng isla talaga, mga artificial islands. So it is a double violation of what they agreed to dito sa DOC of 2002. Tapos ngayon, nung matapos na yung mga artificial islands, sabi na, okay, now we're ready to talk about the Code of Conduct. Yung baka ibabawal sa Code of Conduct, nagawa na nila, moot and academic, baka tayo pa ang mapagbawalan later. Kasi, siyempre, we have to improve our facilities there. Pag pinirmahan natin yung Code of Conduct na yan, baka in the end, sabihin niya, oops, hindi ka pwede because this Code of Conduct prohibits you.
And binds you. But the Code of Conduct there is only largely about freedom of navigation and
Depends.
overflight.
No, not necessarily. The Code of Conduct will also talk about the features, the facilities, the framework. Kaya yun nga, kaya nga we have to be very careful. No? A lot of people welcome the agreement to have a Code of Conduct. That finally, the ASEAN and China will sit down and formulate the Code of Conduct. Pero sa akin, we have to be very careful because it might backfire on us, yung tayo ang baka mapagbawalan, samantalang sila, tapos na sila. And I'm sure Vietnam, Indonesia, they're looking at this very closely also.
Ang mabasa ko lang dito, ang hindi ko maintindihan, where they were building belongs to us. Why should they prohibit us from doing anything there?
Well, precisely. Yung nga
When they have done all the militarization.
Yung nga sinasabi ko na yung ginagawa nila sa atin bawal. So,
Or is that simply the argument of the bully?
But you know, in this
Yeah,
statement,
but is that just the argument of the bully?
that's right, the argument of the bully. Hindi ka pwede.
Hindi pwede, pero sa akin pwede. Mas malaki
I'm
ako sa
doing
iyo.
this because I can. Pero ikaw, wag mong gagawin yan. So we have to be very careful. Yan lang advice ko. Let us be careful because I think it's very hard to rely on the word of this big country because they also deceived us in Mississippi Reef. They said it's only a temporary shelter. Now they have a mini city there, Mississippi Reef. They said that they're not interested in Scarborough Shoal, but in 2012 they grabbed Scarborough Shoal. And then they have this 9-dash line, which the ruling of the arbitral tribunal, yung ruling ng arbitral tribunal, repudiated, sinabi ng arbitral tribunal, wala yan. That is
No
fiction.
basis.
No basis. Pero hindi nila ginagalang yung ruling ng arbitral tribunal. Tapos ngayon, yung mga wording doon sa mga joint statement, respect rule of law, to settle disputes in a peaceful manner, not use threat or the use of force. Pero, di ba, si Presidente Duterte na mismo nagsabi na yung pag mag-develop daw tayo, magkaroon tayo ng oil development sa Reed Bank, gigirahin tayo ng China. That's a threat already. Oh, nasabi niya, si President Xi mismo ang bumulong sa kanya.
Although after that, he was trying to deny it. Na yun ang sinabi ni President
I
Xi.
don't know, but
Pero ang punto ko dito kung ganyan ang mangyayari, ako I'm not interested in, I can understand some of the reasons why we want to have good relations with China.
Of course.
But I don't want it when what they are doing is trampling on us.
Yeah. Alam mo, maganda, no? Maganda kasi, tama yung sinabi mo, no? Merong lumabas na napakagandang editorial. Hindi ko babanggitin kung anong dyaryo ito. One of the major
Leading
newspapers natin, very respected. Nagulat ako kahapon ito lumabas. Sabi nito, nakalagay dito, no? Ang tawag dito, nagkaroon ng drawing pa yung tinatawag na elephant, nagsasaya yung leaders ng China at saka ng Philippines, pero sa ilalim yung malaking elepante. Nakalagay doon ang title, South China Sea. So ibig sabihin, merong elephant in the room, they're talking about the very good relationships, pero hindi pinapansin yung elephant in the room na malaking problema. Pagkatapos, sabi nga dito, ito yung nakalagay dito, no? Philippines-China warm relations. Kasi sabi ni Premier Li Keqiang, very warm daw ang relations between China and the Philippines now is as warm as the temperature in the Philippines. Malamig kasi sa China. Pero ito sabi, no? I'd like to quote. Nakalagay, quote, no amount of soft loans, assistance, and trade deals from Beijing can match the value of areas officially awarded to the Philippines as well as the rest of the disputed waters where China's claim has been invalidated. So kahit na ang daming mga supposedly mga grant, mga grasya na natatanggap tayo economic package, 24 billion to start with, although a lot of that is loans that we have to repay, no? Kaya hindi grant yan, hindi regalo yan, business yan, no? No amount of all these things can match the value of the West Philippine Sea. And that is correct. Kasi ang West Philippine Sea, it is not just an economic asset, it's also a security asset. Buffer natin yan. Parang kumbaga sa bahay, parang front yard mo yan. Bago makarating sa pintuan mo, may front yard ka. Tapos, ino-occupy nila yung front yard mo.
So the question really boils down to is it possible to have a reasonable deal with China considering the disparity in terms of economy and military?
Yeah.
And whether the bullying statement or the argument from superior firearms and economy justifies hoodwinking and stepping and pushing around the little people.
Yun nga. Alam mo, let's go back just a few days, no? Remember, si Presidente Duterte, nung nagpunta ng Vietnam, sabi niya, kakausapin ko si President Xi. Ako ang magiging boses ng ASEAN at hihingi ako ng clarification kung anong intensyon nila sa South China Sea. Kasi nagwo-worry siya at maganda naman at mismong si Presidente nagsabi nito, nagwo-worry siya na baka i-militarize na yung mga islands, mga artificial islands.
But it is already militarized.
Well, hindi pa nagde-deploy ng mga aircraft at saka mga
all it needs is deployment, which of course can do in one day.
Ngayon, ang sabi nga niya, yun nga, kasi yung mga aircraft na yan, that would place the Philippines within range. Hindi lang Philippines, Borneo, the whole of Vietnam. Kasi ang isang J-10, isang J-11, merong operating radius yan na 1,000 kilometers. Pasok ang Philippines yan sa 1,000 kilometers from Mississippi Reef, from Pirates Cross Reef, from Subi. No? Anyway, after that, nag-report ang presidente na nakausap daw niya si President Xi sa Vietnam during the APEC. At ang sabi niya, nag-assure daw si President Xi na hindi nila imimilitarize ang South China Sea. Pagkatapos, sinabi din daw ni President Xi, at inulit din ito ni Premier Li Keqiang dito, don't worry about disruption, yung threat in the South China Sea. Sabi niya, we will safeguard the peace in the South China Sea.
Sabihin mo sa kanila, that is not a role we want you to take.
Oo.
Dapat yan sabihin natin, well, why don't you try dismantling first some of the things that you put up?
Yung precisely sabi
For us
ko.
to believe that there is sincerity in your words. But to tell me now, do not worry, and we will protect you. But we're not asking for your protection.
Yeah. Yung nga, sila nga ang problema eh. Sila nga
Sila
ang
ang
threat
problema eh.
So sabi ko nga, how can China protect the Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia from China?
It's like a conundrum. But we have to pause for a few reminders. We'll be right back po.